Good morning, everyone. This is Rachel Kenter from Prevention Action Alliance. I'm the Director of Community Engagement Programs, and today we're going to be talking about the Push for Prevention Stipend. This will be a quick overview of the funding opportunity. We'll have opportunities for questions. We'll be answering questions throughout. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we will get to them as they come in. There's also going to be an opportunity for questions at the end. This webinar will be recorded and posted to the Push for Prevention website. So if you want to go back and reference it at any point, you can do that there as well. So we're going to wait just one more minute just to make sure there's nobody else trying to get into our webinar system, and then we'll take it from there. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So like I said, this is just an overview of the Push for Prevention Stipend. We're going to go over some of the timelines, the funding, availability, some of the requirements. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in. We'll answer them as they come in. All right. So first, I wanted to kind of introduce both centers at Prevention Action Alliance that are funding this opportunity. The Ohio Center for Coalition Excellence is an overarching center that looks at coalition technical assistance, training, also houses the Statewide Prevention Coalition Association, also known as BECA. We also do webinars around advocacy and some legislative updates. In addition to the Ohio Center Coalition for Excellence at Prevention Action Alliance, we also have the Ohio Youth-Led Prevention Network, GAP Network, and we do problem gambling work. So if you have any need for any resources around any of these topics, feel free to reach out to Prevention Action Alliance at any time. We also house the Ohio College Initiative, which is the other entity that's funding the Push for Prevention Stipend. It's the first statewide college collaborative in the country, and we have 54 institutions participating throughout the state of Ohio. And that really focuses on reducing high-risk drinking, substance misuse prevention, and promoting mental health and wellness. Again, if you have any questions, please let us know. Tyler Begley, who is also here with me today, oversees that. All right, so now let's get into some of the nitty-gritty. So the Push for Prevention Stipend. So what these opportunities are is they are an opportunity for campuses or community coalitions to increase the number and quality of environmental strategies. We're really looking at fostering some approaches. We know the scope of this project isn't going to be large because the funding amount is low. So we're really looking at how can we enhance projects that are already happening around environmental strategies, or if there's an idea that you have that really just needs a little bit of push to get it going, this is what this is for. Again, this project must be around substance misuse prevention. At Prevention Action Alliance, we do a lot more than just substance misuse prevention, but this funding is just for substance misuse prevention. So what are environmental strategies? Well, that's really looking at influencing community coalitions, standards, institutions, structures, systems, or policies. So those are things like providing information to your community, building some skills for coalition members or a college network that you might have, reducing barriers or enhancing access, changing consequences, so enhancing some law enforcement kind of consequences, changing the physical environment, and modifying policy. And we also have, if you'd like to read more, this CADCA resource on environmental strategies really goes into depth about what different environmental strategies are, and kind of picks apart each one of these mentioned in the bullet points. So if you're a little fuzzy on them, want a refresher, please go there for some great resources. So these are just a handful of areas where you might think about where this push for prevention stipend could enhance your community. So it's something like promoting prevention within your community or campus. So if you've got a campaign that's already happening and you need a little bit more funding to enhance that, this would be a great place for this monies to go. If you've got a partnership with a law enforcement entity, or you're really trying to get one, but let's say you can't get them to the table, this could be used for something like reimbursing them for their time, and that would enhance their partnership. Enhancing efforts with a faith-based community, again, that would be another place where you can use this funding to help with a faith community event that's happening. So you really want to support them, but haven't had the funding yet, so that you can collaborate more in the future. Anything related to assessment, so environmental scanning could be something that you might want to do that you haven't had the funds to do before. You can use that for this. Engaging any other sort of community leader or stakeholder, or building on existing prevention efforts. So activities that you're already doing on your campus or community level that you might want to enhance a little bit could be used for these funds. Another thing could be for increased educational opportunities, depending on what they are. We have in the RFP, and we'll get to it in a little bit, some funding restrictions on travel and things, but it can also be used to enhance a coalition or community skills related to environmental strategies. So that's another area where we can use this for prevention stipend. Okay, so who is eligible? So very basically, college campuses and community coalitions. You're eligible for up to $25,000 per award. So we have a total of $20,000. We have $10,000 allotted for campuses, $10,000 allotted for coalitions. So it's probably going to be about 4 and 4, but depending on our applications and what they look like, there is some flexibility there. And there's also flexibility in the number of awards we make, because if people request less than $2,500, we might not, there might be more than 8 awarded. Okay, so the use of funds. So this is kind of the more technical aspect of this grant. So you can use it for printing or promoting an event, costs associated with a law enforcement strategy, project-related materials, capacity building activities, transportation assistance. But I do want to draw your attention to the last bullet point, and the funds cannot be used for more than 15% for transportation or mileage. Again, that's without prior approval. So if you have an event that's going to cost more than 15% of that $2,500 budget, and you can make a justification for that, that might be approved. And then for coalitions, for education opportunities, our priority is given to non-coalition staff members, so non-funded staff members. But again, there is flexibility there based on your project and justification. So funds can also not be used for any school-based curriculum, so buying a curriculum, any prom-related activities, so things like after prom, equipment, computers, phones, that sort of thing, subscriptions to journals, purchasing any materials from us at Prevention Action Alliance, and any indirect costs, so any overhead, rent. This is a very small stipend, so indirect costs are not eligible. And then no more than 10% can be used for food or beverage. So our timeline here is on Friday, November 2nd at midnight. Our online application, our budget, and our assurances are due. And those are all going to be submitted via a link through SurveyMonkey. So you're going to upload, the questions are actually online. And so you're going to type those into the SurveyMonkey directly. What I do recommend is that you write the responses in a program like Word or something and copy and paste them over to make sure spelling and grammar looks okay. A budget document you're going to upload into SurveyMonkey, and also you're going to sign the assurances, and you're going to upload those as well. By Friday, November 16th, we're going to send our notice of award. So it's going to be a tight turnaround for us here, but we want to get this funding out to you as soon as possible. And within that next week, checks will be mailed, as long as we have a response that you accept the stipend, and we will mail out physical checks to that, all the awarded entities. So it's not going to be a reimbursement-based grant. You will get the money up front and spend it. And then our final reports are due on June 14th, 2019. And you're going to have 1 or 2 check-in calls between when your award is set and June 14th, just to make sure everything's on track. If you're having any concerns around budget or any barriers that you're facing in your project, that you'll get a little bit of assistance and check-in during that time. So what we're looking for is use of environmental strategies. So how are you going to use this Push for Prevention stipend to really enhance some environmental strategies that are happening in your community? We're also going to look at engaging multiple community sectors and partnerships. We know that effective environmental strategies are best suited when when sectors and partnerships are created and maintained. Anything that's an innovative approach that maybe is an idea that you've had that you haven't been able to get off the ground yet, that's also what we're looking for to really promote prevention messaging. And then we're also making sure that there's an identified project leader and that they have the ability to make sure this project gets done with the funding that is allotted. So I mentioned this before, but our anticipated project recording requirements are fairly minimal because we know that this stipend is not a lot of money, so we didn't want to make it too cumbersome for any recipients. So we're going to have a check-in survey to make sure that the project is on track, and then a final report, which will be a brief narrative of the activities, your achievements, any documents that you have created, so any, let's say, posters or something like that, any photos or videos of what was going on and how many people you reached. And again, all of this reporting is going to be done via SurveyMonkey, so you'll get links to these individual surveys if you are awarded a stipend, and that will show exactly what the reporting requirements are. Recipients will be told what the specific reporting requirements are after funding. So we got a couple of FAQs. I just wanted to answer them here, and please feel free to type in anything else that you have, and we will get to it. So the timeline for the funding, so the funding availability is going to be from November 16th to June 14th, but all unspent funds. So if you anticipate any unspent funds by May, we need to know about those, and those must be returned to our agency on May 31st. And our indirect or overhead costs allowed, and they are not permissible expenses under the stipend. Again, the stipend is very low, so we can't allot for any indirect expenses. If you have any other questions that you're not going to type in today, please feel free to use the RFP at preventionactionalliance.org website to answer any questions. The question period is going to be open for another this Friday. October 19th is the end of this question period, so no questions are going to be answered beyond that. And all of the responses to any FAQs are going to be posted at the Push for Prevention Community Stipend website on Prevention Action Alliance. So I'll add that link, and we're going to answer them in no later than 2 business days. All right, so that concludes this webinar. Does anyone have any questions? All right, so I'm going to give everybody 1 more minute, see if they have any questions. And if you're still thinking or typing in your question, I do want to remind you that This webinar will be recorded. It will be posted for your reference. And if you want access to the webinar, you can find it through preventionactionalliance.org/SPECA. So please look for all of the information there. The RFP is posted there. The budget is posted there. All right, so I don't see any questions coming in. So I think we are going to wrap up this webinar. Thank you all so much for attending this morning. I appreciate it. If you do have any questions, what is the website again? It is preventionactionalliance.org/SPECA, SPCA. Scroll down to find the link. It will be in the Push for Prevention. There will be a Push for Prevention banner, and you can find the link there. So that's, again, got the RFP, the SurveyMonkey link to create the, or to apply with the budget template, the assurances document. All of that information is there, as well as the RFP, or sorry, the FAQs, and this webinar posting will also be there. All right. So I think that is, again, I don't see any other questions coming in. All right, well, thank you all so much, and I really appreciate your participation this morning. Thank you.